Welcome back everybody to Formula 1 2018 testing day 2 in Barcelona, and it was another great day. It really was. More red flags, more drama, the weather even played a part today, and we saw the times tumble into the 119s for the first time this season. So what I'm going to start off with today is run through the times that were posted by the 11 drivers and who did the most laps, who did the least laps, and then I'll move on to the more intricate little details about today's session. So there's a different team on top, a different driver on top today, with Sebastian Vettel taking that top time on the soft tyres with a 1 minute 19.6. Then in second place was Valtteri Bottas in the Mercedes with a 119.9, so 3 tenths off, with 94 laps compared to Seb's 91, so very similar between those two. In third, we had Stoffel Vandoorne in the McLaren. He was on the Hypersoft, the first time we've even seen these tyres from any driver whatsoever, but it was also great to see a McLaren in third place with limited running for Stoffel Vandoorne, which was gutting for him. Even less laps than Fernando Alonso did yesterday, and I'm going to be covering that on a little bit later, but still, as I say, that's so annoying for Stoff, because he wants to do much better this season than he did last season. I definitely think he was underrated last season, especially in those last few races, but it's not a great start to his testing now, is it? In fourth was Max Verstappen on the medium tyres in the Red Bull with a 120.3, so not a second away from the lead time of Vettel, but he was on the slower tyre. And as I said yesterday, and I'll say today, it's so hard to compare any of these times, even with the different tyre compounds, because people sandbag and people do long runs, short runs, and realistically, like I said, I think these times could be around the 1:15, 16s if these cars were going full pace, but we're not seeing that at the moment, so anything could happen. But Verstappen only did 63 laps compared to the lead 94 of Valtteri Bottas. In fifth was Carlos Sainz on the softs. Another great running again from Renault in that top 5 with Carlos again. Really underrated driver, I think, as well. In sixth was Pierre in the Toro Rosso. Great running from them again. No issues so far, as it seems, from Toro Rosso, so fingers crossed they can have a great season with Honda. It's looking like it could be, because this testing's going very well. 76 laps completed today for them. In seventh, and beating his teammate, was Robert Kubica. So his first full session in F1 for a very long time. I'm not counting one of the test sessions in Hungary or Abu Dhabi there. This is a full, not fully competitive, is it, but it is an event with a lot of interest focused on it, so that's why I'm sort of saying it's, you know, his first real session that of note. I'll say that's a good way of putting it, a real session of note. He got a 121.4, not a too bad lap, especially considering he only did 36 laps, and the second least of any team or any driver on the second day of testing, which isn't bad for Robert. Obviously, if you don't know, he had that big crash back in 2011, and this is his comeback to the sports. He's not driven the cars fully since then, and it's great to see him up there in 7th place in his first real test session, so fantastic there from Robert. He's in the Williams, if you didn't know. In 8th was Sergey Sirotkin in the Williams on the same tyres as Robert, but 4 tenths down, and with almost 20 laps more, completing 52 laps. So Sergey Sirotkin, again, it's hard to tell because a lot of sandbagging going on, but people will question this. People will definitely question this, me included, but I will put this down more to sandbagging than Kubica having more outright pace than Sirotkin. 9th place was Esteban Ocon in, do we call it Force India? I mean, it's not looking like it's going to be called that at the end of the season, but for now we call it Force India. 78 laps from him with a 121. Again, I don't think that's representative of Force India's real pace, behind the likes of Toro Rosso and Williams, but who knows. In 10th was Charles Leclerc, also on the soft. He set a time of 122 with 81 laps. Not the best start from Alfa Sauber. Bottom of the timesheets both days, or near the bottom. I don't think they'll be at the top this season, but I was expecting a little bit better. And in last place was Kevin Magnussen, also on the softs with a 122, but only completing 32 laps. He went off in the gravel. Was one of the numerous drivers to do that today. So did Charles Leclerc, and Sebastian Vettel in the second corner had a big spin. So lots of drama going on today in terms of off-track excursions. A few red flags coming out for those spins, but no real crashes of note like yesterday with Fernando Alonso's tyre popping off. But like I said earlier, Vandoorne had issues, only doing 37 laps. Wasn't the least on the grid, definitely wasn't the least. Magnussen was that, then Kubica was 36, and then Stoffel Vandoorne with 37. However, pretty much all those 37 laps came in the morning session. 32 of those were in the morning session, and he had an exhaust issue, which meant his rear diffuser was burnt, apparently, according to some sources, the Autosport source I believe that came from. I mean, that's mad. Vandoorne apparently wasn't too concerned by it, like Fernando was yesterday, but 2 issues in 2 days for a season that McLaren want to get back on track, it's slightly worrying. I do think that no other teams seem to have had an issue like this of note. So again, I don't know what's happened with Magnussen as well today with limited running, so he definitely could have had an issue down there at Haas. But Vandoorne, he said he was fine, but McLaren, little teething issues with Renault, it can't happen. It can't happen this season. They've been on such a downward trajectory since 2013, and this was the season they were going to get back, like it's been every season. It's been foretold, but it really looked like it was going to be this season, and don't write them off just yet. Just 2 bad days in testing. It can all change around for the rest of the week, but it's not looking good so far. So the other things I wanted to talk about today was the weather. Okay, so I can already hear a lot of you clicking off when he says we're talking about the weather, but it's something that's really going to affect this week's testing. And so yesterday we saw rain, today we saw snow. We saw snow in testing today, which limited some of the run-in, which meant we had no lunch break. So if you're unaware, they have an hour lunch break, which means all the streams stop, all the news stop, and the guys have lunch. I mean, they're allowed a break, aren't they? Surely. So that was cancelled today because of the weather, and the FIA wanted them to get as much running as possible, and they knew the afternoon running would be limited. So every media outlet possible was making all these jokes about the drivers having to eat lunch in the cars and all this awful puns. Hopefully they don't do that again. But anyway, I'm even looking at the times now, and it says a little thing on the side: how would you spice up your lunch during testing? I mean, ridiculous, isn't it? Embarrassing from some of these sites, but it lightens up the day. I suppose that's all they're doing all day is watching testing. But some of us guys, you know, we live and breathe the sport, so it's great these weeks in testing. But because they cancelled lunch, the session was an hour longer, but the snow did cause a lot of drivers issues, and the wet caused a lot of drivers issues, which is why you saw so many spins and people heading to the gravel. And tomorrow it's expected in Barcelona to be big storms. Now, it's unclear whether it's going to be snowstorms or rainstorms, but it is clear that running is definitely going to be limited, and people and teams have inquired about not doing a session tomorrow and doing a session on Friday. And for that to happen, all the teams have to agree that they're fine to do that, okay? And you'd think that all the teams, yeah, that they want as much running as possible. However, the issues comes with Williams, and that is Williams have a shakedown, not a shakedown test, Dan. Have a filming day. So if you don't know what filming days are, they're the little videos. You'll have seen the McLaren one yesterday and in today's video, where they just take some beautiful shots of a car going round, or their car going around a specific circuit. And Williams have had that booked obviously now for a very long time for the first day after testing, and now that's in jeopardy. It looks unlikely that Williams are going to jeopardise his day of filming, which brings so many branding issues if they don't go, especially with Martini, which, if you didn't know, that's been cancelled now, that sponsorship for next season. So this will be the last season with Martini for Williams, and they don't want to ruin that blow any more than they already have if they were to cancel this. And maybe that's why. Maybe Williams have said to Martini, can we cancel this filming day? And that's why they've split up. We don't really know any details too much on that, but it looks unlikely that Williams will change that day anyhow. And so it looks like we may see very limited running tomorrow if the weather does turn out to be as bad as people are saying, which is a shame because we've got some big names coming out tomorrow, including Lewis Hamilton, who's done very limited running so far. However, he is a four-time world champion. He is one of the best we've ever seen in the sport, and so I'm sure he doesn't care about testing. He just wants to get racing now, which I'm sure we all do. And that rounds off day 2 of 2018 testing. We're halfway through now, guys. It's really starting to build the F1 hype, isn't it? I think we're all pretty much ready for the 23rd of March, the first race of the season. But for now, testing is going to have to do. Cool. Like I say, I'm ready. I really want this season to get underway now. My plan was for today is that later on I was going to release my review of all the liveries this season, all the designs on the new cars and my order of favourite and least favourite, but instead I'm going to do a little video covering the new F1 TV that's been announced today from Liberty Media. So that's what I was going to tell you there. And also I want to tell you is that yesterday's episode people were asking me to link where I watched the F1 testing live, and so there'll be a link in the description for that. It's a great little channel that always do it every year, and I always watch it there every year, and so go over there, check it out. They don't do a commentary or anything like that, they don't report on the testing, but it's live all day. It's obviously someone who lives in Spain, Catalonia, I believe at least anyway, and they go there every year. It's always the same content, as in terms of where they lay out the whole screen. They put all the timings in the top right hand corner. There's a little news bubble at the bottom. It's quite good actually. It's quite impressive, so I'll leave that in the description. But I think that's all I've got to tell you guys today for day 2 of testing 2018. If you have enjoyed, remember to like, subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.